Hey everybody, Andy here. Welcome back, day 2, Community Appreciation Week. Starting a few minutes early because I want to share a few more messages from people in the community. A big thanks. I always reflect on all these people whose paths I've crossed, who've shared their stories with me. I'm going to share some of that with you here before we get started. If you're here with me early, I see some of you are already in here. Big hearts to you. Tell me who you are. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you do. Tell me what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. And if you're in one of my programs, let me know that. And if you're my mother, hey mom, great to see you. And I'm guessing dad is back in the kitchen cooking dinner already, even though it's only 10:49 in the morning. Okay. Hope you guys are doing great. I got a good one today it's a really good one. Swiss Army knife of tools for you today as it relates to your career. So I'm gonna kick this off really quickly with some music and testimonials, and then I'll see you here in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. Always love to see those stories. I read them often, and many others. Okay, great to have everybody. Coming up here on 11 a.m., great to have everybody. Day 2, Community Appreciation Week. What's today all about? Wait, before I get into that, let's just recap the week. Yesterday, if you were here with me, we talked about how to get what you want in life and kind of the sequence that you need to go through in order to identify who you are, the goals that support who you are, what the steps are you're going to take to achieve the goals, and how it's going to create the lifestyle you want, the tool bag you need. And then we talked specifically about a great career tool to help you evaluate your career path, your employers, and your role. If you missed that, the replay's on the YouTube channel. You can check that out. Today we're going to talk about it's the Swiss Army knife of career tools that I built on Monday, April 24th, 2017. I released it to the world. Maybe you were here. We're going to revisit that today. I'll tell you more about that when we get into the talk. Tomorrow's going to be about assessing your financial worth. I got a great checklist tomorrow on all the components of compensation, things to think about as you look to all those offers that you damn well better get because of all the coaching you're getting from me. And then on Thursday, we're coming back. I got a private group coaching session with members of my job search coaching program. We've picked the 3 winners who are going to get the case studies. We're going to do a great Q&A. I'm sure it'll be a long and fun and fruitful discussion. That's Thursday. On Friday, I have a coaching session with my leadership group. We're going to talk about building the corporate culture you want. Every day's at 11 a.m. Central Daylight this week. Hope you can make it all. Now, if you're here, get in the chat and say hi. Let me know who you are. You know this. You know I say this every week, but now I'm going to say it every day this week. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what you do. Let me know what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. And if you're in one of my programs, let me know that. Use your little hashtag so I can give you a shout out and also direct you if you have more assets in your training library to help you. Okay. All right. Stacy, all that goes. All right, folks, today, what's this all about? So, in my life as a recruiter, in my life as a career coach, I notice that people really struggle with congruency between what they want, what they've done, what they put in their resume, which is a marketing document, not a work history document, and then taking all of this, moving it into the interview stories, making those stories powerful, making those stories congruent, making those stories just really powerful. And not only that, all of this stuff that you do in your life is not just about getting another job, it's also about getting promoted within your company. So I want to make sure that I can help you get that power, get that congruence, and get that command, even if it's the words on the paper, so to speak, in the resume, or if it's in the interview stories. And there's some other things that I think go along with this, in that when you are actually discussing your background and your stories with others, and let's just say you're talking with interviewers or you're talking with people in your own organization. You're talking with interviewers and you're trying to convince them that you know what you're doing. And it's difficult because they have no emotional attachment to what it is that you've been through. You need to do everything that you can to bring life to your stories, to give them a vivid view so that they can truly experience it. Don't we all love to listen to people who have complete command and control of what they're communicating? And then what about when you go for your promotions in your company? You know, your boss, you might think your boss truly understands the rippling effect and the value that you've created through what it is that you've done. But it's rare that someone can know that. And you need to know that. And oftentimes you don't even know what's actually happened as a result of you doing what you did. And one of the things that what we're going to learn today and what I'm going to teach you today is about this tool that I'm going to give you. It will help you create context for people who are listening to you. And the other thing that it will do is it will give them perspective. And one of the other things that it will do is it will help you reflect on what you've done and see your own accomplishments. What do I often teach you? I know I say this quite often. It makes no difference how successful you are. You will never feel successful unless you reflect on what you've done. Why? We are always looking forward. We are always looking at the gaps. We are always looking at where we are not. And you got to stop that. You got to pause, and you have to collect the insight, reflect, get the information, actually look at it to see how far you've come. It'll make you feel better. Wait, and there's more, right? As if this little tool I'm going to teach you, if that isn't enough, we're also going to check off a number of interview answers in and of themselves when it comes to questions like talking about challenges that you've overcome, failures that you've overcome, growth that you've been through, things of this nature. The tool I'm going to talk with you about is also going to help you just in and of itself overcome those interview questions. That's a lot of stuff to unpack, but this is a very simple tool. I'm going to walk through it. You're going to wish you'd had this sooner, maybe when you were 22. And if you're 22, you're going to be loving me today because I'm going to save you a headache for the next 45 years of your life or however long you're going to work. This is something that I think everybody should have. So buckle up. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think everything is okay. The connection is now green. It was burping at me before, but everything looks good. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, some of you have heard of this tool before. It's called my Career Achievements Journal. We'll give you the download here at the end. Let me walk through it with you right now. Now, I've talked to you in the past through many of the interview videos I've created, the interview book I wrote that's sitting back there in that little pile over there, interview intervention. I've talked to you about how to tell a story. I've also talked to you in other places about the 8 great topic areas that employers care about. We're not going to go into all those, but there are 8 areas, things such as raising revenue, reducing costs, the biggies that employers care about, better marketing, market awareness, customer service, those kinds of things. And whenever you have stories that you write about in your resume or accomplishments that you write about in your resume or stories that you tell in the interviewing process, these are music to employers' ears. So you got ways to tell stories. I've given you assets for this. You've got the topic areas that you should be covering. But one of the most important things about telling a story is having the details so that you can paint a vivid picture in the listener or the reviewer or the reader's mind of what's actually transpiring. And what a lot of us do is we don't collect those pieces of information. So one of the great practices that I teach my high performance coaching clients and people that want to be the best at what they do is everything that you do, you need to have a diary or a journal, so to speak, of the information and the things that are contextual for what it is you're doing, what it is you've accomplished, what it is you've learned, and the benefits that other people have attained, and all of these pieces of information. Now, we're going to walk through 14 of the key pieces of information that I believe you need to have. These are the assets that, as best as possible, wherever you are in your life right now, wherever you are in your career right now, if you're pulling your resume together, you want to go back and you want to think about these 14 things. And going forward, you want to capture these 14 things for everything that you do. And I'll break this down specifically as to what I mean. Okay, so what am I talking about? Well, I think there are 14 key pieces of information that do all those things that I said kind of in the preamble here, right? They bring a vivid color to your stories. They help give power and details to your resume bullets. They give power and details to your resume stories. What are these 14 things? So let's talk about them. So number 1 is the project that you're working on or projects you've worked on. And let's be specific about what I mean by project. Some of us have a job where we do the same thing day in and day out for an extended period. Maybe we're on the manufacturing line. Maybe we're making the widget, right? Maybe we're answering the customer service call, right? And one after another, after another, after another. That's a project. So whatever it is, the widget you make, you might have made 10,000 widgets. That's a project. It is a unique, contained set of activities that you do. Some projects are a minute over and over and over. Some projects are a year long. Some projects are a week long. Some projects are 3 days long. The time frame is irrelevant. The most important thing is whatever the project is that you're working on, document it. Are you a customer service rep who's helping serve the customers? That's a project. But are you also that same customer service rep who's optimizing a new way for all the customer service reps to handle certain things? Did you streamline a process? Right? That's a project. Those are separate initiatives. So you want to make sure that you're capturing what your projects are. Okay, that's the first thing, right? And so for some of you, you'll be writing in your career achievements journal every week. For others, you'll be writing in it once a year. But the most important thing is that you're capturing it on a project by project basis. That's the first thing. Second thing is, are there any statistics that you can gather? Now, statistics can come in a number of different forms. So there's statistics that give me an image of what's happening. It was a very large construction project that we were implementing. Okay, it was $3 million. That's a statistic. There were 50 people that were contributing to the project. That's a statistic. There were 4 different groups. That's a statistic. Okay, these are statistics that are painting the order of magnitude that I can see the size of the project. The construction project was done on 4 city blocks. That's a statistic. Okay, those are statistics. And there are other kind of statistics, but the statistics I'm talking about here is anything that will create context for magnitude. Okay, so this is describing how big, small, widespread, and so forth. We're going to get into other statistics like benefits. That's a separate thing. But any statistics that will give me some kind of idea, some kind of visual of magnitude. All right, next thing. What's the problem? What are you trying to improve, enhance, reduce, eradicate, fix? Anything that we do is we're always solving a problem. Anything that you do, any minute of any day, is solving a problem. Okay, what the problem is could change. Right now, what problem am I solving? I'm solving a customer service problem. I'm solving a marketing problem, right? I am marketing me, so you get to know me better. That's a byproduct of what I'm doing. I'm doing community service. That's a problem I'm solving. I'm helping you and all the 153 of you that made it here early, right? So that's a problem I'm solving. So what is it that you're doing? You have to give context. Imagine, isn't it great in an interview when you say to somebody says, "Well, Andy, how did you implement that project?" I say, "Hey, well, actually, the key issue was there was this problem where our customer service time was slow. So yes, I was the person who came in to implement this new technology to make the response time, the pickup time faster, the IVR time faster, the customer services response time to fix the solution if somebody dialed through to get a rep time. What was the problem I was solving? What did I have to overcome? The big business problem. Why was what you were doing, did that even matter? Okay, that's what you're trying to collect. What was the problem or problems you were trying to solve? Okay, if you are a sales rep, you are solving a revenue problem by selling more, kind of thing. Okay, all right. Number 3. Number 4. Well, who was at the party? Who was at the party? Who'd you do it for? Who was involved in helping you build this thing, sell this thing, streamline this thing? Right? Who contributed to it? Were there partnerships? Were there other companies? Were there vendors? Was there a joint task force? Was there a steering committee? Were you the chair of the steering committee? Who was on the steering committee? These little details. You may not call it out right in an interview or write it all out in a resume, But can you imagine being in an interview and saying, well, I actually chaired a steering committee which had 5 different executives that were representing each of the constituents, and we had somebody externally, we had somebody from the board and whatever. Like, these bring great context to what it is that you were doing. And just by explaining who was in that committee, I start to draw conclusions about your abilities. Dang, right? All those people? You chaired all those people every other week? You must have good communication skills. You must have good customer service skills. You must have good senior executive presence. This is what shoots through people's heads, right? Remember, time compressed interview, right? Who was involved? You will be shocked at how many entities you actually interact with, okay? All right. Well, cards are sticking. Oh, dang, let's just take all the cards. Here we go. What was the solution? How'd you solve it? So here's what I did. Here's how, you hear me say, right? First I did this, then I did this, then I did this. What were the steps that you went through? You can talk about them at a high level. That construction project, what'd you do? Get architects, put the blueprint together. Then we designed the stuff. We ordered all the material, right? Whatever it is, here's the step. What is this also that you often hear me say when I'm talking about having complete command of your interview responses and the 3 different kind of questions you can be asked in an interview? Behavioral interview questions, right? Tell me about a time when. You've got project-specific questions. How did you do that? That's those steps right there. And then, hey, we're in the future and I got a situation for you. This, the here's how, is your outline. It's your template for how you're going to answer those. Okay? So what was the solution? So what did you actually do? Right? What were the steps? What was the sequence? What was the process? Number 5. What else? Well, what happened? Right? What happened as a result of you doing what you did? How many times have you heard me say this? You're writing a resume bullet? That's what you did? Who cares? What happened as a result of you doing that? You managed the customer service team. Great. What else? What happened? Did customer service go up? You could have managed customer service team. Customer service goes down, right? That's bad. So call times go down, response time go down, customer satisfaction survey, scores go up, kind of thing. So what actually happened? For those of you that are being forced to use the dreaded STAR technique to answer a behavioral interview question, this is the R, okay? Or if you go to the Andrew LaCivita School of Behavioral Interview Responsing, this is the outcome, okay? So that's another thing. What actually happened? If you don't know what actually happened, go figure out what actually happened. And just because you stopped somewhere in the chain doesn't mean when you were finished you had an outcome. You could have created the casing for something that then was sold. The selling of that thing is the outcome, not the casing and I finished it. Okay? So what was the outcome? All right. The benefits. Who benefited and how exactly did they benefit? So I was supporting the customers. I was supporting an internal team. They benefited by having ready-made documentation so that they could take that and go and do something with it. Whatever happened, I made their lives easier, right? I made them more money. I saved them money. I increased market awareness. I increased the search engine optimization and our view count went up, right? Kind of thing. Our lead gen went up. Whatever it is, but what happened and who did it happen for and what was it, the delta that you took it from and to? This is the benefits. This is the first piece of information in your resume bullet. Okay, it's the first piece of information in your resume bullet. All right, so that's the benefits. That's number 7. And then, what challenges did you encounter as you went through the process? So I'm not talking about what was the challenge. That was the initial problem. The customer service response time was slow. That's the problem you were ultimately trying to solve by implementing a new customer service system. It's the challenges that occurred along the way. So we had this problem. I was trying to improve the system that we were using so that our customer service response times were quicker, our answers were always more accurate, and so on and so forth. That's the business problem. But then as I was doing that, the dang software was late. That's a challenge that I encountered during the doing. This is what I'm talking, bumps in the road of the project is different than what was the problem you were ultimately, the overlay, trying to solve. Okay? What were those challenges? Tell me about a time when you overcame a challenge. Okay? That's what I mean by in and of itself. Just having the challenges and notating them is important. Well, don't just tell me what the challenge was. You got to tell me how you fixed it. Okay? So what did I do? So there was this problem that occurred. The vendor was late releasing the software. Version 1.8 that was going to have that enhancement that we were relying on September 1st when we wanted to go live wasn't there. Great. What'd you do? Well, I actually had a risk plan that had risk mitigating factors to try to help the vendor make sure they met their deadline. But we also had a call date and a contingency plan in the event I wasn't able to get that. So because I'm such a badass project manager, I had all that in place. So when I ran and encountered that challenge where they were delayed, we had a backup patch that we were able to put in that would not delay our release date, and then all the data that was being implemented into the patch was auto-integrated once the new system upgrade was made. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, how did you overcome it? Think about how awesome you sound. What did you just say? I know how to manage risk. I know how to be ready for stuff that can go wrong. I know how to think forward. I know how to anticipate stuff. I know that some things are going to go wrong. Nothing ever goes according to plan exactly. Not the bigger the project, the more things that are going to go wrong. Boom. How'd you overcome it? All right, where are we at now? Number 10. What would you have done differently? In any way, shape, or form. Maybe I wouldn't have done that project at all. Maybe I would have actually delayed the implementation. I would have optimized it this way. I would have included more features. I would have whatever. Now that it's done, what would you have done differently? What would you have done differently, you individually? Okay? And then, what did your company learn? What does your company know now that it didn't know before you started the project? By the way, as you go through these for yourself, now, 14 for 14 is great, but you don't have to go 14 for 14 in every single project that you do. Not everything would apply. I'm giving you the kitchen sink, okay? But what did your company learn? What does your company know now? My company knows after implementing that marketing system that they need to go through a two-step process instead of a one-step process when it comes to these kind of products, because these kind of products are more conceptually difficult for potential buyers to wrap their mind around, so they need more nurturing. We didn't know that before. We thought we could go right to the sale, whatever. Whatever it was, what did they learn? What do you know? What do you know now? How about you? How about you, baby? What can you do now that you could not do at the start of that project? New skills with a Z, right? Like, what new skills do you have that you can do now that you couldn't do? I got news for you. Number 12. If your number 12 is not like a good list, you're in a job where you're not really growing. Okay? So, and especially for somebody who's working on something for a year, do you know I actually keep a daily listing, and anything that I learn on a given day or anything I accomplish for a first time ever, I do. That thing's long, and I'm old, okay? So think about that, right? So what can you do now skills-wise that you could not do? Can you see how depressed you will be if there isn't something here, but can you see how happy you will be if there is a bunch of stuff here? This is what reflection is about. This is a component about reflection. Racking up the wins, right? All right, those skills. Company 2. How did the company improve? So what can the company do now that it couldn't at the start of the project? Okay, now you're making a widget over and over and over again, but can you make the widget better? What can the company do now? Well, the company can fix it less because it doesn't break as much. That's fine. But what else can the company do? Sometimes the company can do leaps and bounds things. Sometimes the company is rolling out a whole new arm of the company. Sometimes it's rolling out new products, new services, better ways to handle things. I have to spend less time in the cost areas. I get to spend more time in the relationship development or the sales areas or whatever. So think about the company's development. All right, think bigger than yourself. And number 4, what would you say were your greatest accomplishments in the doing of the project? Now, some of you say to me, well, Annie, I got this great stuff that I did, but we never implemented it because the company ran out of money. The company slashed the budget. The company did this or that. The company let all the people go. But it was real victory because I lived it for 14 months. How do I... Well, okay, these are still victories for you to talk about, for you to write about. But what were the big victories for you? What would you claim victory for? For you personally, for the company, just any which way. So it's not just what skills did I develop, but what total victories would you claim as a result of doing those projects? All right, so I'm actually not going to recap that because I actually have a download like this that is similar to the one I gave you yesterday, except this one lays out all the 14 areas. Now, here's action item. Here's what I would do. Number 1, take the damn thing. If you're in the job search coaching program, you don't need it. If you're in my resume writing workshop, you don't need it because all this and in the interview collection of courses, you don't need it because you already have this and you actually have more, but you can grab it if you want. You should create some vehicle. I don't care if it's a diary. I don't care if it's a spreadsheet. I don't care if it's a Word doc. I don't care if it's an Evernote or whatever the fad app of the day is. Just some way for you to collect this information. Now, if you are in job search mode right now, and even if you're not, it makes no difference. When you look back at your history, what were your most prominent projects that you worked on? And you need to, I know what you're going to be saying to me, well, Andy, I can't remember all that. Okay, well, take a shot. Remember what you can. Estimate what you can't. Remember, the most important thing about storytelling and sharing it in job interviews and in your resume is that you can substantiate your claims, not whether it was, 1.5 million or 1.2 million. I really don't care. It's $1 million and some odd dollar project. It's $1 million and some odd dollar benefit. How did you get to that? How did you implement that? And if it sounds reasonable, that's all we need. Now, if you're inside your organization and you're working toward promotions, if you are not capturing this information, you're going to have a hard time explaining yourself when it comes time to make your case for a promotion. Or what about the salary increase? What about the pay raise? Right? For those of you who are interviewing, this is how you make your case. This is the influence that I had. This is the impact that I make. These are really, really important details. And imagine I'm sitting across from you and you're spouting this stuff off. Well, Andy, let me give you context. We had this big problem. It was over in this region. And here's what we did. There were 7 countries involved. And, right? Doesn't that sound way better than, well, that was over in Europe, and I can't really remember all the countries that were involved and what the problems were, but I implemented this system that made it easier for, right? These are 2 totally different people, right, that we're looking at in an interview. So you need to be able to make your case. So grab this achievements journal and then go back in time, start pulling together the details and the content as best you can. Okay? And then going forward, make sure you keep a running list of the different projects that you're doing. You can see how much easier this will be if you're doing it as you go through it, right? And week to week, look back, have a little reflection exercise with yourself at the end of the week. What happened? Are we on track? What am I noticing? What were some of my firsts? All that good stuff. All right, hope you enjoyed that. If you are here with me live, we're going to go to the Q&A here in a minute. If you're watching this on a recording, I'll see you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I really feel like it's a big key to making sure that you are, you're consistent between what you want, what you've done, what's on the resume, the stories you tell, and then when you get into a company from a promotion standpoint or persuasion standpoint, do not expect your bosses to know all of this. All right, I'm going to go to the Q&A, but I want to make mention a couple things. During Community Appreciation Week, every program in the Mile Walk Academy, with the one exception of my leadership coaching because it's so dang cheap as it is, high value but low price, is on special. And I mentioned to you yesterday, all you need to do is check the Mile Walk Academy page for the current prices, the enrollment fees. And one thing I thought I would show you today, for those of you that are not familiar with the Mile Walk Academy, is I want to take like about 60 seconds just to show you all the programs that I'm speaking about. They come in a library like this. So, this is the job search coaching program, my leadership coaching program. I have a very high level coaching group. It's something like a mastermind. There's the career accelerator, productivity, and so on. And then every one of these programs is built the same way where, there's an outline to it, there's some welcome sequence process, and then it's all video based. So this is the job search coaching program. These are, this is the first module. There's some videos. The second module, there's some videos. And then all of the videos come with downloads and assets and things of that nature. The Career Achievements Journal, this is the one that's inside the system. It's also embodied in the Resume Content Builder, for example. And then, you can watch the videos. It's all laid out. It's got a sequence. It can walk you through things in the order in which you should go through it. And then this particular program comes with online support. So all these people that ask me these questions, I go in there and I answer them on a daily basis. So that's some of the online support in that program, and the leadership coaching also comes with online support. So all of the programs are developed that way. So whether you are, so for today, for example, this was a very more resume specific. It was an interview specific, but it was also a career development specific lesson. If you're looking for more along these lines, I have a resume writing workshop. I have an interview collection of courses, but we also have the big programs, the job search coaching program and the leadership coaching program that embody all of this stuff. So depending on what you're interested in, you can kind of pick and choose. If you're having trouble writing your resume, you go with a resume program. If you're having trouble attaining job interviews and you're not sure if it's a resume problem or more likely a job searching problem, we have the Job Search Challenge, which we've never had on sale before, but we're now putting it on sale before we put it out to the world for regular price this Saturday. So before Saturday, you can get it for $99 instead of $299. And if you want a little bit of my greatest hits, but you don't want to go into the full coaching program, we have the Job Search Mini Camp, which teaches you how to write the resume, bring yourself to the job market, so job searching, as well as interviewing and salary negotiation. So there's a little something on the job searching side for everybody. If you're amping up your game in your career and you want more related to self-help, high performance, leadership type skills, communication, relationship building, presentation giving, all of the interacting, all that good stuff, that's in the leadership coaching. If you got any questions, I'm happy to answer them here, but I'd like to get into the questions. And I think we're humming along today. This is great stuff. So I see my mom on top, which is, quite frankly, where mom should be. I think there might have been a couple other people that stuck some stuff in there. And if my team could let me know, I've got my mom on top in the eCam chat. But I think there might have been one or two people that snuck in before her. Can you let me know if that's the case? All right, let me see. I do see something from Adam Stark here. How many stories and scenarios do you need for your interview? Answers. Can I stick with a few projects that will cover most of the common questions? Yes, and there's no set number. So, I mean, I've conducted interviews where I didn't ask a single question about someone's background. Actually, that's how most of my interviews are. Most of my interviews, most of the time within the interview is about the future. It's not about tell me about what you did. It's tell me how you would do what I need you to do. In that case, you would need no stories. So yes, it's okay. And by the way, I have a very good session in my job search coaching program that walks through the base stories that you need, the topic areas that you have to have, that if you have these particular stories in order, you will be covered, okay? Because these stories are the ones that are most important to assess. That's in the job search coaching program. In my leadership program, I have from a hiring perspective what those areas are and how to get at them. So if that's something that you guys are interested, check those programs out. But Adam, that's a great question. Dewey, what's a good word, my boot camper? Andy, thank you for the 8 motivational videos. Did you try to say zebra more unique than just usual horse, interview, or assumption after read the resume? Yes. So I'm in the US. Zebras ain't around, right? You're in Africa, you could be a zebra. That's like being a horse in the US. So yes. And that card, that picture in that motivational email of those 8 motivational videos, that picture is sitting up on my shelf by one of my favorite boot campers ever. Sent me that. She and her daughter made it for me. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Hoove, what's the good word? Jim, Cecilia. Oh my God, look at all those boot campers right in a row. Cecilia, what's the good word from the other side of the pond? At what point in the job search should I tell my manager I'm looking for a new job? Never. Not being funny here. Do not say anything until you hand in a resignation letter. That's it. Final answer. Hoove, on an application, it asks for 3 references, name, phone, email, physical address. I do not want to give all that out. So, Hoove, go check out the video on, Stacey, we just did this one, right? Everything you need to know about the references is on the, oh my God, this one went out, right? It's like, you would think I would know my release schedule. Stacey, can you just confirm that I put that out and then so we can give it to Gary, and I answered all of these questions. Should I list the names, phone numbers, emails, addresses to move forward? Yes. I went through all the rationale here. I want to just point him to the video. Stacey, can you tell me if the video is on my YouTube channel or if we have not released it yet? I thought we released this. I know we're on a delay here. You guys are like 10 seconds behind me. So I'm waiting. Okay, send them to the live office hours session. Actually, put that in the chat. Okay, Gary, answering you really quickly, but go and watch the live show on references, and on the application, put the 3 references in. It's no big deal. Tell them not to contact them. That's it. Go through the process. When you go through the process, you will tell them if it's okay to contact those people. Okay, that will hold up your application. So just put it in. They will not contact them. Don't worry. And in your screen, you tell them, don't contact my references until you let me know, because I might want to give you different references based on what I find out during this interview process so that I can get you the right people to speak to based on what's most important to you, and I won't know that until I go through the process. That's what you want to do. And it's okay to do. It's okay to list all that stuff. And then check that live office hour session that I did I can't remember exactly the date, but it's out and available, and just watch the teaching portion. Omeshma Boot Camper. Great to see you, Drew, Lisa, Brandon, Mickey, Vicky Hartman, new member of the Milewalk Academy, thanks to yesterday's gift. Abdul, hey Andy, thanks for all the useful content. You were welcome. Is it okay to ask for a virtual interview rather than a face-to-face due to time constraints in your current workday? Cheers from the UK. Abdul, great question. So this is an it depends. So where you are in the sequence matters. If it's in the screen and you're just trying to get a little feel. If it's maybe even the first session, whether it's a tech skill or interview with a hiring official, and you say, look, it's really tight for me to come in for just an hour, to commute and all, I'm working, this and that. Would it be okay if we met initially via Zoom? Okay, I think that's okay. As you get down in the process, meaning further along, you want to be really careful, because I want to get in there. Then you need to know at that point whether it's worth your time to break out of your day. Now, what we do a lot when we're recruiting is oftentimes we will try to get the interviews at the first thing in the morning or last thing at the end of the day. First thing in the morning's better, less likely things go wrong, meaning for our job candidates. So one of the things that you can do is say, look, would it be okay if we scheduled it at the beginning of my day or at the end of my day, so that I'm not disrupting most of my regular workday? I think that's okay too. But the answer is yes, but I would be cautious as to when I requested that. So I hope that helps. John Marks, great to see you. Got a question here. Best way to get clarity on applying to other cities or states far from you, which you know nothing of. So for me, I am about doing my research and knowing would I need to move? Meaning like, am I okay to move? And if I'm okay to move, I would visit the cities. I would not be investigating jobs unless I knew I was open to moving there, or it was a remote job, or I was willing to take my time to interview with them, knowing full well I would never move to that city, but that I'm actually pursuing work there, but as a remote worker. Those are it. Those are the conditions. So, as far as cities I know nothing of, let me stretch this, because I think there's some value here in what I want to say. Because a lot of you, this goes for people that want to make minor career pivots into new roles. It goes for people who want to make wholesale career changes. It goes to people who want to live in new cities. I'm talking about uncharted territory. We have these images in our head and imaginations of what this will be like and how great it would be. I think I used the example yesterday about, not that any of you want to be a career coach or a trainer or an online trainer or something like that. But what a lot of times what you do is you see things from the outside. You don't actually see all the invisible work and the challenges that I have to overcome day in and day out, and the problems that I encounter, and what it actually takes to do what I do, or anybody that is, for any matter, whatever it is. You think, hey, I'm going to be happier when I'm at the top. Hey, I'm going to be happier when I move over to this new organization or this new position or this new role type or whatever. And to that I would say, number one, read the book Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. And number two, before you do anything, one of the best things that you can do is one of the steps, not all of the steps, one of the steps in your research should be to speak to somebody who is currently doing what you want to do. I'm going to repeat that. Speak to someone who is currently doing what you want to do. Not somebody who's done it in the past and doesn't do it any longer. Somebody who is currently doing it now. It is very different when somebody is going through it and their ability to share what it is like, good and bad. Somebody who's done it before and who's been away from the game for a while, or that particular position, is not going to be as good a reference for research purposes because their memory is going to be foggy. They're going to tend to remember the pain more than the joy. Okay, there's a lot of things wrong. I don't want to go into all the science and psychology behind all that. Do me the favor. Get somebody who's current, get somebody who's doing it. You a project manager, you want to be a product manager? Go find a product manager and go talk to that person. Actually, talk to 3 of them if you can. Do whatever you have to do to figure out what that's like. Want to write a book? Then talk to somebody who's written books, published books, is in the game kind of thing, so that you understand. Just any of these things, it's really important to get firsthand current knowledge. Recruiting today is different than it was when I started. So somebody can talk to me, right, about that. But you get what I'm saying. So if you want to go live in a city, there's no better way than to talk to people who are in the city and go visit it and see if you like it. I'm talking about everything. Like, write your requirements down for the city. What about public transportation? What about, can I get around? You know, you go to this place, you can only ride your bike. You know, that kind of stuff. You need to be buttoned up that way. Aylin with all my hashtags. I love it. And Cornelia, how are you doing? Steve Smith, good word, buddy. Grace under pressure. You are a leader. Hey, Andy, I'm interested in a job writing policy, but I have no direct experience in this. The best route is probably via a role in content strategy in which I'm experienced, followed by a pivot within my company. My question is, can I be upfront about that at interview, or should I keep my long-term intention quiet for now? Okay, this is one damn rich question because there's a lot of points here just to share. So number one, notice what Grace asked. I'm interested in a particular type of role, but I don't have a direct experience with it. Okay. The best route, I'm assessing that I could do a multi-step route. That's awesome. That's how you need to be thinking. Number two, I have leverageable, transferable skills. I'll use those to make the fastest step in the right direction. Awesome. And then the next thing that she said is followed by a pivot within the company. All right. For those of you that have not seen it, my Career Changer playlist, there is a video in it about the fastest way to make a career change. And what I teach you is the less change in the change, the faster you can make the change and the more successful you are likely to be. So what she's doing is she's taking her leverageable skills and leaning on them. Those are not really changing much, but she's putting herself in a position inside an organization which the next change will be what? She won't have to change companies. She's just changing roles. There's less change in the next change. That's the best way to make a change. And if you're looking to just simply change roles, the fastest route to do that is with the company you're currently in, because you don't have to learn the commute, you don't have to learn the industry, you don't have to learn the company, you don't have to learn the people, you just have to learn the new role. And while that may be different or even drastically different, it's still only one thing. And you understand conceptually what the company does, right? So the ultimate question she's asking me is, should I make this my intention known? And my answer is a resounding absolutely no way would you ever tell them that. Now, if they say to you, do you have long-term aspirations, or do you have any long-term aspirations? Where do you see the stupid question about where do you see yourself in 5 years or whatever? So in those cases, you could say, well, I have interests that align to writing around content, policies, and other areas. It would be great if I could leverage my experience as a content writer to venture into some other areas should those opportunities present themselves, and preferably in your organization. That's it. And then I wouldn't say anything else. Because think about it. What's the upside that can occur? If they said to you, hey, Grace, we see that you have some content development experience, and we actually are also looking for policy writers, Is that something that would be of interest to you? Then my response would be, it would be of interest to me, but as a matter of fact, I love your company so much, I wanna go wherever I can add the most value based on the skills and experience I bring to the table. If you feel that I can immediately add value in that area, I'm greatly interested in that too. That's okay, right? So just think about that. But if it's coming out of left field and they're really loving you for a content position, then stick with it. Don't say anything. Okay, thoughts on that? Good luck on that. Deb, let me show. Kara, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me, did we communicate anything, or can I spill the beans? Deb, great to see you. Kara's probably not even paying attention to me. Stacy, if Kara's not paying attention to me, will you please nudge her? I think maybe both of my team members are not paying attention to me. All right, Mr. 97, what's the good word? Received nice position is filled response from Boss Hunt email. I know you've covered it before. Can you direct me to the video where you talk about best ways to respond? Mr. 97, go into your job search coaching program. Go into module, you know what, Keith, just for you, buddy. You go here, buddy, into module 2, main session, attract employers. Grab that sucker, the Boss Hunting Bible. Open that sucker up. Go to the spot that says, how do I respond to? Pick your pleasure, and you're good to go. That's where you go, my man. Couldn't do it any better for you. Hope that helps. I did not yet. Haha, surprise. I'm paying attention. All right, Deb, let me show. All right, wait. Keith, you're taken care of. Check. Deb, ding, ding. You won the live coaching with me on Thursday. Kara's going to be sending you a message in advance to let you know so that we don't say, surprise, Deb, show up on Thursday and get yourself camera ready. All right, so hope to see you there. Yvonne, great to see you. My left coast boot camper. And Steve, what do we got? Andy, interested in the goals masterclass. I read the Out of Reach, great philosophy, but before I invest, does the masterclass have more meat on its bones than the book? So for you, let's go into the products. And if you give me 1 second, let me show you. The goal setting masterclass is much more robust, and let me show you this really quick. All right, for you, Steve Smith, this goals class has everything in detail. This is, it's really, really detailed. Every video is probably about an hour to 47 minutes. There's also some Q&A, and I believe if you want, you're going to need one of these. So we give you all the detail to basically capture all your goals. And I even filled in all the different types of different goals for you. So I outline exactly how to address whether you have dates, not dates, whether they're process goals, whether they're outcome goals. All of this stuff is filled in, and I give you samples of every single type. Lifestyle goals and system goals, but we talk through all the concepts. So I want you to imagine taking Out of Reach but Insight, and me spending, so the whole book was a 48-minute speech. I want you to imagine me spending 5 times the amount of time and breaking down all the details with all the examples and all the how-tos and all the philosophies and every different type of goal that you can set up and how you would actually go about filling in all of that. Now, the one thing that you can do, Steve, is you are a boot camper, if I remember correctly, and I didn't say this. If there's a monthly plan in my leadership coaching program, so everybody in the public can get in for $49 a month, or they can save $291 on an annual pass and get in for $297, or you can get in the lifetime for two grand. If you decide, you as a boot camper, somebody who's in the job search coaching program, if you want to get in on the monthly basis, it's only $39 for you. Those are people who've invested in my job search boot camp or my job search coaching program. You get a preferred rate if you want to go on the monthly. Now the annual rate, the yield is like $24 a month. But if you want to try it out, you can. It doesn't come with the goal setting full class, but it comes with an abridged version. That's one way to get a taste. The other option is, instead of paying the $97, if you go all in at $297, you get that, and you get a year's pass and access to all the other archives and all the other coaching sessions, the archives, and all the courses. The productivity challenge, you get the goal setting masterclass, some of that little workbook that I showed you, and all the how-tos, and you also can get the career accelerator program. So that's another option for you. So I hope that helps. And then let's see, I'm getting a couple questions here. Lee Dollar, rather than duplicating questions, how do we find Andy's wisdom on a topic if answered below? Okay. So if you are in the boot camp, Lee, there's a search capability inside the boot camp. So if you go into these programs inside inside the boot camp, there's actually a search bar that you can go in, and you can actually go into the search, and let's say, hey, I don't know where Andy was talking about disagreement with. What's that dang disagreement question? And then inside, it'll show you, it's not Google good. The other way I like to search is things like, I know this is silly, people, but I don't know why anybody wouldn't do this. It's going to come right up. A public version of something will come right up. You want to talk about, I have good search engine power. Anything you need is, you want to know subject line? What's the subject line I should write in a cover letter? Right? This is how for a lot of you guys, it's a great way to go. And so I know it's, some of you have the premium stuff and some of you are using the free stuff, but type my last name in anything you can imagine and it will come up. So it's really, it's kind of silly, but it's true. So if you're ever looking for something that I ever say, and you're like, yeah, what the hell is he talking about? Just put my name and then what I said. So that's for Lee. But Lee, you should always start in your paid programs. And then Steve G's asking, I'm currently fully employed but unhappy at my job at year one. Which of the programs would you recommend to help me find my new meaningful job? And Steve, without question, depending on your budget, the job search coaching program is by millions of miles the highest ROI, the most value, and although it is technically, when you just look at dollars, the highest cost, it comes with the most support. Online support, live coaching support, all the videos, anything you need, that's the main program. If you want a budget-friendly program, I would go in the job search mini camp. Okay, so I had something I used to call the job search boot camp. I now call it the job search coaching program. It's the same thing, but it's the biggest thing. It's got everything in it, and it's got all the videos, all the templates, the online support, and all the live coaching that we do. We do like a couple dozen of these private coaching sessions a year. And then if you want a little taste of like the greatest hits tactics, which is, it pales in comparison as far as the amount of content, but the greatest hits that I give you will give you the highest ROI in each of the segments of the job search, where it doesn't cover the complete self-awareness stuff that is really vital, but it does cover resume writing, job searching, interviewing, and salary negotiation. And you can get that right now until Friday for $99. So it's a fraction of the cost. It's not as supported, meaning you can't just freely ask me private questions like the people in in the coaching program can do, in the big coaching program, but it's really a great yield for less than $100. So those are great questions. Look at Aileen. Is she not just the nicest and most encouraging? Focus on what you can control, sending hugs and vibes. That is so great of you. By the way, speaking of hugs and vibes, if you guys are enjoying this, hit the thumbs up button, the like button. I'm talking about the like button so that YouTube sees that people like this, and share it. They love the likes. They love the shares. Apparently that tells them that people are enjoying themselves. Kevin, my man, I got to you this morning. Hope you enjoyed that response via email. Oh, one other thing I haven't mentioned, because we don't really even advertise this. I do have a VIP program. So I have a people who get in the job search coaching program. That's my signature job search product. They get online support via direct email to me. And they also get a coaching session. They get a resume review. They get some extra bonuses like the Career Accelerator and some other stuff. We only dole out 10 of those at any moment in time. We probably have a few openings because a couple of them just got new jobs, so they're not going to lean on it as heavily. But if you are interested in that, email support@milewalk.com or check out the job search coaching program. The page will show you also what you get. Rob, Dana, my girl, you're a winner. You're a winner. Kara probably didn't tell you yet, but Dana, I need you to be on your toes Thursday. Camera ready. Bob Ashman, Deb, you got a question. Two-person panel interview yesterday. Hiring manager, who I know, asked me toward the end what my ideal job is. I replied, this is. Sincere answer, was that bad? Is there a better response? So, it's not a bad answer, okay? Now, when you say something, number one, let's not get too hung up on this, right? Because if you're saying the first thing that comes to your mind and you're sincere, I'm always good with that, okay? Always good. If it was me, I probably would have immediately said, well, as I've shared with you before, the things that are really important to me are boom, boom, and boom. And when you look at this job, it touches all of those boxes. I mean, this is absolutely ideal. Now, if there was anything missing, then depending on what that was, I may or may not have said anything. Meaning, I might say, the only thing that could make this more perfect is, but only if it was something innocuous that probably wasn't a big deal to make it look like you would be disappointed in this role. And kind of the more I think about it, I probably would stay away from that, but I think that's okay. But for me, I'm always, and you know me because you're in my programs and you're with me a good amount of time, I always like to explain why I think what I think or where I drew my rationale from or why I want you to understand it. So if I was to respond to that person, that's what I would say. So that's great. I'm so glad for you. Sherry, how are you? And Joyce, my boot camper from Mexico. Agent 99, what's the good word? Double D. Good to see you, baby. How's the new job? Di, tell me. Jeff, Leo, Lori, Evan, all my boot campers right there. I love it. Brother Pascal, good to see you. Mickey, Ying, Kristen, look at you. Elkhart, Indiana. Kristen, I don't know how old you are, and I don't know how long you've lived in that's in Elkhart, Indiana. I was thinking of Elkhart, Wisconsin. Okay, forget that story I was going to tell you. Joshua. Allie Marie, what's the good word here? And baby girl, where's my questions? Hey, Kimberly, Deidre, Sean. Yes, you are in the boot camp. No role interview tonight for a Japanese company with U.S. offices. I want to help them grow in the U.S., but have not been in Japan for 25 years. What advice on what to focus on during the interview? Okay, Sean, we always talk about what you are not, what you're not. You're Japanese, right? And so if you have not, been right? Or you said you want to help them grow in the U.S., but you've been in Japan for 25 years. You talk about bringing, right, the Japanese flavor to America, and you talk about what you notice are the cultural differences, the tactical differences, the go-to-market strategy differences, and because you're marketing, right? So all the other things that are germane to what it is that you need to do. If you have an interview and they know you haven't been in the US for that long, my guess is they're okay with that. If it's a no job description interview, you need to make sure that they start talking about their challenges. They're obviously going to be talking to you about their marketing challenges. You talk to them about what is it that you need? What are your biggest challenges from marketing awareness, brand awareness, product awareness, whatever it is that their issues are. Is it penetrating a new market? Hey, we're a Japanese company, but we're not as well known, this and that, right? Okay, then you start talking about how your background suits that and your ability to actually help them market this or that, what tactics you would use, and so on. But you always want to focus on what their problem is, what their challenge is, and how you and your background, your experience are equipped to help them solve it. So, lots of luck, buddy. That must be one of the 3 interviews that you got this week. Good luck. Tooth Kalia, thank you for the show. I was feeling very nautical today. Steve Smith, Andy, thanks for your great work. I am looking at a nonprofit position that is a good fit, except for its compensation, which is a step down rather than a step up. Steve Smith, I would give you no different counsel than everything else I've ever told you. Let's make this really simple. You've got the negotiation tactics in the boot camp. You've got the additional case study stuff that I put in the mini camp, the case study with Rohan. That's session 4 in the mini camp. Check those. The other thing is, remember, I always use 2 fists when I do. Every time I do this, you know what story I'm about to tell you or what tactic I'm going to teach you. Every single time that you start an interview process, there's always 2 variables. One is static and one is not. There's 2 variables related to what you're about to proceed with. The challenge or problem that the nonprofit in this case, or company, or group, or unit, or whatever it is facing. They have a challenge, they need it solved. The challenge itself is relatively static. They need somebody to sell more, create brand awareness, streamline something, whatever it is, and they are hiring somebody for it. In their mind, they're starting with a template in their head of what that person looks like. That's the job description. What kind of experience? How much experience? Where do they come from? What kind of background do they have? That kind of stuff. You need to change the way they interpret that, what they think that person looks like, and more importantly, not just what the challenge is, but what they feel is like this challenge is going to be solved this way to this degree. What you need to do is say, that's your problem, but what I can do for you is not to solve it to this extent, but solve it to this extent. And here's how I would do that based on my experience, what I'm able to do, and so on. You get the whole interview process to change their mind about the solution itself and how that problem can be overcome and to what degree they can realize return on the investment, which is you. That's what raises the salaries. Okay, so it's not what they think at the moment that we only pay 50 and you really make 70. It's you want the job, you got to get in there and convince them that you're worth more. You do that in the interview process, not in the screen. Right? So the entire process, when people are asking about, compensation and negotiation and these kind of things, this is not a negotiation problem. This is every time you get into an interviewing process, it is not a salary negotiation problem. It is a you selling yourself and convincing them how their problem can be solved problem. Okay? So don't be focused on the money. That's what throws you off. Focus on, I need to change the way they think about how this can be solved and who can solve it, and how additionally they can take advantage of the skills and experience that I bring. I'm willing to pay more if I get more. If you can wring more ROI out of this, I'll pay more for that. That's the problem that you guys need to be thinking about when you go into the interview process. All right, go get them. Pablo Andres Rayo. How can I get the boss hunting? I'm assuming he means the boss hunting Bible. Kara, can you clarify that for me before I answer that? Allie Marie, never too late, but man, I wish I had the courage. That's what you look pretty young to me. I don't know. How to handle when can't recall metrics details for some of the earlier jobs on the CV. Allie Marie, I would take my best guess. I would make estimated guesses, averages, whatever. If you like, give you examples. Now I know you're in the legal profession, so I don't know all the ins and outs of everything that you do. But if you wanted to talk about, the amount of billable hours, revenue you generated, number of these types of cases you handled, or those types of cases you handled, or whatever it is, you just take estimates, right? I was working with somebody the other day. We were working on a resume review. He was talking about how he streamlined a process that saved his company the need to hire X number of engineers. Okay, what's that engineer earn on average? 100 grand, loaded rate, 125, multiply it by 10. There you go, there's your number, kind of thing. And just say, somebody says, well, how'd you come up with that? Well, it's 10 engineers. They each cost $125,000, loaded rate, right, kind of thing. Same for you. What's your billable hour? Average, well, you're probably expensive. $1,000 an hour. Allie Marie's $1,000 an hour. I helped company generate, I billed 3,800 hours because I work double time and whatever. So you just fill in where you can. If you don't feel like you really can defend it, then don't worry about it. Okay? The most important thing on a resume is really the more recent stuff that you have. If you're going to put numbers and estimates and things, try to get it within the last 10 years, 15 years kind of thing. To make your best guesses. Okay, so Kara's saying, going to Pablo. Pablo is asking, and some of you were wondering how to get the Boss Hunting Bible. So there are two ways you can get the Boss Hunting Bible if you really liked that sheet. Let me see if I even have it up still. I do. So if you are interested, actually let's go back. Let's show and tell is probably a little easier. If you are interested in this Boss Hunting Bible, where I teach about the Boss Hunting Bible, but I teach the approach, I teach what it is, I teach whether, LinkedIn, emails, in-mails, I answer all these questions. What if I find multiple people? What subject line? Should I attach my resume? Like all this stuff. What do I say exactly? And then what's going to happen? They're going to respond. Hey, this is great. Thank you for sending me that lovely email that your coach showed you how to write. They refer you to somebody else. Hey, that's not me. That's somebody else in the organization. Or they refer you to the recruiter. Hey, I'm gonna, Joey down the hall is recruiting for that. Or no, you got to go into the applicant tracking system. Or we're not, thank you, but no thank you. I don't really want to talk to you anymore. Or how did you get my email address? Or they're mean, or they don't respond. What do you need? What do you need to do? I lay this all out for you. I actually go through everything. I give you all the templates. There's two ways to get that. One of them is in my main job search coaching program, which is the big coaching program. That's $497. That's one way to get it. The other way to get it is in the job search mini camp. There's 4 sessions in the job search mini camp, and one of those sessions is about boss hunting, and I've included that booklet in the job search mini camp, which talks about resume writing, boss hunting, interviewing, and salary negotiation, and you can get that for $99. So either one of those will get you that booklet. And if you go to the job search mini camp, you'll see it laid out in that little checkout area. But it's in both places. The one thing that you can note is if you're in the job search coaching program, the big one, you get everything. You don't have to worry about, do I get that or not? If it's on the job searching side of what we teach, you're going to have access to anything you want. Oh, this is really nice. Hernaldo, Hey Andrew, just passing here to express my gratitude. I'm about to receive an offer from a big video game company on Canada. Thanks to your guidance, for a guy from Chile, a big deal. You bet. I'm so glad for you. Can we give Hernaldo a big high 10 for Community Appreciation Week? I'm so happy for you. I know how tough job searching is. It's tough, it's lonely, it's confusing. And when you can attain something like that, you know, kudos to you, man. Really am happy to hear that. Corinne, what's the good word here? I know you're in HR. Last 2 roles have been with product-based companies. When I apply to service-based companies, how do I make the product-based achievements relevant? Don't want to delete their strength. Okay, it's a couple of things. It's a couple things. Let's talk about Corinne specifically, but let's talk about most of you in general. When you are applying to an organization, and by applying, I mean any way you can get at somebody in the organization to get them your resume for a particular position that you know you can crush. Okay, I'm not talking about going in the applicant tracking system. I'm talking about actually trying to pursue this job some way other than that. And you are trying to connect the dots for somebody about how what you've done maps to what they need. Now, there's a couple of things that need to be in place. And speaking of boss hunting, if you're going to go that route, you need to make sure that the skills that you have are requisite and readily available for the boss to use immediately to improve his or her team. Meaning, if you're changing careers, boss hunting is not the route you should be taking to try to get your new job. You're changing careers. I'm a boss. I'm not going to take a chance on you who don't have the skills I need, right? You're not an attractive inbound message to me. So when you are going into an organization that is different, you need to lean on what it is that you have that would be a requirement that they would need. So you don't want to necessarily highlight products and services. You want to highlight HR expertise. I don't care if you're doing HR for a product company or a services company. I don't care. I wouldn't care if I'm hiring. If I'm recruiting for an HR person, I could give one hill of beans if you did products or services. HR is about the people. Okay, it's not about the products or the services. It has nothing to do with that. So I wouldn't even be talking about that. That's your case. But there are other people. So you're asking me, how do I target? You target your assets to somebody is your HR prowess. Whatever your HR prowess is, right? If you're a generalist, you're that. If you're a benefits, you're that. If you're a career developer, you're that. Whatever it might be, vendor management, insurance, all the other stuff. If you know it all, great. But like you're highlighting that. Now, if you are making a change for others of you, when you are looking at, I want to change industries, industry change, what do? If you're a product person, you go to an industry that has products. You're a service person, you go to an industry that has services. Why? Because you can make analogies that I understand how service-related products are marketed, sold, accounted for, whatever, right? That kind of stuff. If you are looking to change functions, same kind of thing, you stay in the industry that you know and you look to change functions within the industry. You do not want to change many variables. That makes it infinitely harder for you to make the change. Going back to what I said about a half hour ago, the less change in the change, the faster and more successful you will be in the change. But Corinne, I would not be I would not even be worried about that. HR is to me independent for the most part. I don't think that that's going to be. I think it's a total luxury if you understand the environment, and then you're drawing environment comparisons more than anything. So I hope that helps. I don't even think it's an issue. Allie, okay. Hey, I forget I didn't say this yesterday. I think I was just so happy and just rolling with it. If you want to get connected on LinkedIn with me, get connected with me directly. I would like to be connected with you first degree because I would like to follow you and your work and what issues you're facing and what's important to you. if you are following me, that's great. I appreciate the follow, and I'm glad I could share me with you, but I want you to share you with me. So if we're not connected first degree, I don't see that. So I would appreciate getting connected. I also, if you like the video content, if you like the YouTube videos and all that, obviously subscribe to that channel. But we also put a lot of content, way more content, out on Instagram. We put the bite-sized videos like 1 to 5 minutes. We put them out every day. And so on YouTube, we put them out once a week. So it's another platform that I really love to engage with you on. Instagram's my favorite platform. LinkedIn, I like to be connected. I want you to be able to use my network, but I just think Instagram's just more fun. Agent 99, preparing for second interview. Competition has MBs and JDs. I'm not sure what an M. When I think of MB, I feel like management by objective, or I'm not really sure what MB is, but I have years of experience. Oh, MBs. Wait, JD. I'm assuming you mean job description. You're not a lawyer, right? What would you recommend? Oh, a strong argument for not having MBA. Okay, sorry. So when you say competition has MBA, okay, so MBAs and law degrees, I'm assuming you mean. What would you recommend as a strong argument for not having? I don't make arguments about what I don't have. I don't think that any of us should talk about what we're not. You talk about what you are. So if I would be leaning on my network to get me into wherever it is, or I would target them, if they're open to the conversation, I don't think you need to defend the fact that you don't have an MBA or a JD. So I don't recommend anything. I recommend talking about the value that you can add, not talking about why you don't have something at all. Especially, an MBA. I don't even want to get into that. I'll cut the answer there. MCK, how you been? Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. And Vanessa, how do? Tutkalia, if you were rejected for a role you really wanted, is it okay to revise your resume and reapply? I tried a different resume format and it didn't help much. Okay, if you were rejected for a role, I'm assuming, I'm trying to read between the lines here. You didn't go into the interview process, get rejected. It sounds like the applicant trashing system rejected you, or you maybe didn't get a response, in which case you interpreted that as a rejection, or they sent you a message that said, thank you for your inquiry, we're not moving forward with you. If that's the case, I would change my resume, and if you want to go through the applicant tracking system, then I would reapply. If I'm misunderstanding what it is you're asking, first off, I wouldn't even go through the applicant tracking system. I would try to boss hunt or HR hunt or teammate hunt or something like that. But the yes-no answer to your is it okay, the answer is yes. It is okay to revise your resume and reapply. And you might be surprised that if you improved the alignment of your resume to the job description, you might get a hit or a pass through. Now, some of these trashing systems, I don't know if they put a ticker on you that says, hey, Tutkalia was flagged already and rejected for this role, so no matter what happens, anytime they reapply for this role, we're not moving forward. I don't think that's the case. I would give it a shot. You got nothing to lose. Deb Chapman, second and third interviews completed at 2 separate companies, waiting on next round and offer, learning the true meaning of patience. Deb, love to hear it. Love to hear it. Jeff, hey Andy, best way to get a thank you letter out after Zoom call. Internal recruiter would only forward, and in the end, my letter didn't get to the manager until 3 days later. You know what, Jeff? You can't control that. If I'm on a Zoom call, I've already got my pregame checklist in my mind, and part of that pregame checklist says, before we hang up, I say to the person on my Zoom call, I would like to send you a quick thank you to follow up. Can I have your email address? Like right now. Give me that. Chat it to me or whatever, however. Okay? And I'll send it to you. I would never let anybody get off without telling me that. If they say, hey, I gotta run, just get the recruiter. No problem. I would say to them, I'm gonna send it to the recruiter who will forward it to you. Still send it. Even though they didn't get it 3 days later, that's okay. You get it in within, say, 24 hours, you look proactive. So that's it. Y'all, don't sweat this stuff. Man, yes, I want you to get the thank yous in. Don't hem and haw. Don't worry about where you got to send the damn gift baskets and all this stuff. Just get it. What? I want to send it to you. Where's the fastest way to send it to you? I'd like to send you something handwritten. Can I mail you something? Where would that be? You know what? You don't want to get it? Where can I email it? Like, just get it. If you don't have that, go to the recruiter, say, here's my thank you, send it to them. And that's it. Don't worry about it. Angela, you are welcome. Oh my God, used PPO, rocked it last week. All right, so wait, this is awesome. Now, for those of you that don't know what she's talking about, I do not like the STAR technique. It is very boring. And if you pick the wrong S, you're screwed. S is for screwed. You know what? S is for screwed in the STAR technique. Because, so for those of you that don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there is a long time, awful technique that is taught widely by people in my industry and other HR cronies that think that anytime you're asked a behavioral interview question, which is a question, let's make sure we understand what that is. It is a question about your past, so it goes back in time. They give you the luxury, which is really a curse, of choosing the situation you want to speak about. And it usually starts with, tell me about a time when. How did you? Tell me about a time when you disagreed with somebody. Tell me about a time when you organized something, and so on. And if you pick the wrong situation to discuss and you go right into the STAR technique, which is situation, task, action, result, then you are hosed because they're not going to like your answer no matter what if they don't like the example you chose. So the PPO technique gives them your philosophy that transcends the situation. And if you want to learn more about that, join my job search coaching program and get in there and learn not only how to actually answer behavioral interview questions, but how you, the job candidate, can reverse behavioral interview the employer, because for you, I want you to do that because I need you to get specific examples in their environment so that they can give you evidence of their behavior with specific examples. So I teach you how to do the reverse. So it's pretty cool stuff. And Angela, I'm so glad you rocked it. Great to hear. I love it. And there's me giving you the download with a star. And I'm guessing Stacy is managing my thing because Stacy is the emoji queen. All right. What else we got here? Mickey, glad you're liking it. M. Roberson. M. Roberson, gaps in employment, got a whole video, lays it all out for you. How to handle gaps. LaCivita, employment gaps. In Google, comes right up. Steve G, your team and our products are all rocks. I love it, buddy. Jennifer Gregory, our newest milewalk Academy member who got a free gift yesterday. Come on, man, you guys got to come up with a question that makes me give some gifts away. Cecilia, you're welcome. Akam, I found a job using one of the reach out templates you introduced. Of course, customize it. Awesome. Rula, hi, fabulous Andy. Hey, you're pretty fabulous yourself. Thank you for saying that. How can I balance between freelance projects and my personal startup project? Should I reject all side projects and focus on my own? Okay, So this is a prioritization, a production. It's really a priority issue. And anytime you say yes to something, you say no to something else. It's just a fact. It's the law of the universe, right? We only have so much time, and I don't believe in managing time. I believe in making time for the things that matter. If your personal startup project is more important to you, then I would be carving as much time out of my life for that as possible. But I can't tell you what to like, and there's people who have lots of money. They could go a long time and be really patient and not earn a high income to meet their expenses or whatever, in which case they could spend more time on their startups. Other people might need to spend more time freelancing because they need a bit more of an income. So I can't tell you which route to go, but I will say what matters to you more. And if you, I don't know if you were, you know what? Can we just give Rula the goal setting masterclass for free and help this person out, because I think they need some help with setting and accomplishing the right kind of goals. Let's do that. Sue, hey Andy, how would you view a hybrid resume where job history is laid up front on page 1 and address your chronology cues on page 2 for my bullets under 3 to 4 functional areas? Sue, if you're asking how would I view it, remember what I've shared with you. You know me well enough. If you're the Sue B, I think you are. All y'all, this is the real deal. I am going to give it to you raw. Recruiters, surveyed year in and year out, you ask any of them, they absolutely cannot stand functional resumes. They immediately go into, what is this person hiding? And they're looking for something wrong. You've immediately sent them into negative town. I'm serious. Now, instead of me looking at your accolades, I'm looking for, what are you trying to hide from me? That is not a good way to get me started or excited about the resume I'm about to read. And so I don't know why you would want to do that. And also, it will totally, should you ever have to put that in an applicant tracking system, it's totally going to muck with the applicant trashing systems. And you know how I loathe those things, but I know that for a lot of you, they're necessary evil. I really would stick with a chronological resume no matter what. I really would. And remember, the chronological resume template that I give you for you, the chronology starts in the middle of page 1. You have the whole top half of the front page of the resume of page 1 to create the narrative you want me to have. So I would do it that way. Chris Hamilton, you are a mini boot camper. Awesome. Hey, Andy, if I am transitioning to another career and I may still want to have a resume going out to my old career, is it a good idea to have multiple resumes? Now, generally speaking, I don't love multiple resumes. However, depending on your career goals and depending on your pursuits and how much time you want to allocate to trying a career change or maybe a fallback, plan B, it's okay to do that. It is. Remember, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. Every time that you took the time to send a resume or networking message or any of that stuff to someone, those are minutes you don't have to be sending your other resume out for something else that you're trying to transition to. On Steve G, I believe I answered this. Right now, this whole week, everything is discounted, Steve, with the exception of the leadership program. It never goes on discount. Fernando, after 7 interviews for one job, did not get an HR person wrote me, there was all around positive feedback from the team, but the candidate pool was very competitive. Fernando, I know there isn't a question, but I would immediately respond with my rejection response. If you're not sure about my rejection response, LaCivita, reject. In Google, how to get the job after getting rejected. It'll pop right up. And then we all encourage you. Oh, you're at, okay. Fernando, same thing. I see you got some questions after. My response still stands. That's what I would do. Rob Peterson in the boot camp, there is in the interviewing module. You can check that out. Oh, Vicky, you are okay. Vicky Hartman, you are a member. I gave you a free gift. So you are now a paying member of the milewalk Academy, which comes with some privileges. And if you would like to use the free whatever I gave you, it must have been a $100 gift. That's also a $100 gift card on top of the 100 off. So if you want to get the big program, you can use that $100 to as a credit. If you don't want to pay any money at all, you get you choose whatever prize you want from the job search curriculum. Those 4 products: the resume interview, job search challenge, or the mini camp. Sabrina, how are you? Deidre, Andy, can you please repeat the name of the book you just mentioned by Daniel Gilbert? I will show it to you. I'm sure that's some kind of faux pas that I left my table. And this Harley's hurt. I just got back from the doctor. Okay, Stumbling on Happiness. There's an upside down bowl of cherries there. Is awesome. And if you want to take in a little more, it's the one and only book he's written. It's my second favorite book of all time. And it talks about, it's not about happiness, okay? So it talks about why we are never as happy when we attain something as we imagine we will be. And a big part of that is we can never project our future selves and what will transpire between the time we set the goal and the time we attain the goal. Because for example, if I achieve something at 60, I have never been a 60-year-old me. And so a lot's going to happen between 55 and 60. And I'm going to be a different person, and I'm going to go through a lot of different things that are going to change my views. And so he talks about how to make sure that as you're choosing goals way out in the future, things that take a while to get there, that you have a great understanding of what that's like. And so the part I gave you about talking with somebody who is currently doing that to get an accurate view from them of what it's truly like, or at least a simulated better view of what it's truly like, is part of one of the things that he shares. It's really good, but it also talks about how we will not be as sad as we imagine if something drastic happens to us as well, like imagining things that are just horrifying to you at the moment. But it's really a fascinating read. It really is. Jennifer Gregory, when adding relevant volunteer experience to the resume, any reservations? Want to show TV, radio, media experience applying for marketing? You damn well better show that stuff on there. You just put it in the wait, this is really good. Okay, hold on. Jennifer Gregory, who must have recently changed her picture on YouTube because you had a different picture yesterday. Don't think I don't remember like everything I see? Okay, so this is really, really a great question. I mean, you're on your game, lady. Okay, when adding relevant volunteer experience to the resume, any reservations? Want to show TV, radio, media experience applying for marketing comm jobs by listing former NFL cheerleading role. Can this backfire? Okay, now a couple of things. If you want to show TV and radio media experience, if you actually have that and you were volunteering, that's gold. If you are making the leap that being an NFL cheerleader is giving me TV radio experience, that's a bit of a leap. Now, I don't, so when I talk about volunteer work, I think volunteer work is awesome. I think the best volunteer work that gives you the most points is the stuff that carries with it learnings that give you foundational capabilities that move you toward what it is that you're trying to attain. Like, let's just give me an example. If I'm head of the PTO of my kid's school and it's a volunteer position, okay, there's administrative, organizational skills, there's some leadership and influence skills in there. That's a great volunteer position. If you, I don't know, I go feed my starving children 6 times a year. It's an effort too, right? That talks about you having a good heart, a good soul. It's probably a huge amount of empathy with you and other things. It sends messages. Now, I think being a formal NFL cheerleader is awesome, right? You got to be organized. It takes a lot of work, I'm sure, and there's a lot of just organizational and habits and discipline and other things that go along with that. So I think being a formal NFL cheerleader is great, right? That does take effort. Right? So if you want to put that on there, I would simply just put it on there. I'm not sure if I'm getting the whole relationship between TV and media other than you're on the cameras sometimes, but it's different between being on a camera and interviewing and being interviewed for TV and radio. A lot of stuff I have done and where I get experience from that and just media relations and those kind of things. But there's nothing wrong with putting volunteer work on your resume. And some people, they will love it, and some people will dig into it, and some people say, hey, this is fascinating. Can you tell me a little about that? I always wonder kind of what the life is like what the routines are like, how much extra work does that take? What did you do? When you traveled and this and that. So yeah, I mean, I think all that stuff is cool. And to you too, welcome aboard to the Milewalk Academy. Hope you're enjoying whatever you chose yesterday. Where do we find this video, Andy? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. And then I think I got Lee, Mr. 97, you're welcome. Lori, Bootcamper, where can I find info on how to hunt those who have viewed my profile on LinkedIn? Just go to LinkedIn and you can, it's pretty easy to find who viewed my profile. I think there's a little thing, you click it and it shows you. I would not overly worry about that. Lisa Yo, did I miss something? How can I get a discount for the mini boot camp? I'm very interested in it. So we have what we used to call the Job Search Boot Camp, which is now called the Job Search Coaching Program. That's the $497 product. It's usually $597 for the base package. That's on sale. All you need to do is go to the Milewalk Academy page, and you can click on any of the products, and we underneath have the price for this week. So one of those products is called the Job Search Mini Camp. So it's a 4-session program, and it's going to be listed for $299. It's now $99 this week. There's nothing you need to do. We've actually embedded a coupon that expires on Friday in the checkout. Just click it, and then you'll see, there'll be a strike through on the $299, and it'll say $99, and you just enroll, and that's it. And then you'll have that asset in your library. Guys are crazy. Oh my God. Takunda? So from the previous response you just provided on career change, it would be unwise as a career changer to highlight that in the career summary. Correct. You don't need to highlight that you're changing careers in your career summary. I would try to pull forward the requisite functional skills that you have and experience that are foundational to where you want to go. The career change, so remember, career changers, remember this, your best and fastest route to the change. So I talked about the fastest way to make a successful change. The less change in the change, the faster and more successful you can be. That's true. The fastest route to get to the opportunity is through people you know or through people you meet. So what you have to map out, how do I get from where I am to where I want to be? There's a whole bunch of people in between. Sometimes there's networking groups, sometimes there's old colleagues, sometimes there's old colleagues that work for companies like that and you want to break into those industries or those functional roles or whatever. You need to be, pedaling a network for career changers because you need somebody to speak on your behalf. That's really going to help. Or you're going to need to start volunteering or doing other things to start rubbing elbows and learning from people who are in the space, in the industry, doing the function or whatever. Okay, so that's what I would say on that. Deb, yes, 100%. Just give me your stuff like pronto right now. Just kidding. Sabrina, if ever you're looking, and I say something like, I have a video about fastest way to change careers, just go LaCivita fastest change careers, bang, it'll come right up. It's in the Career Changer playlist, or it's on the YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's also a magnifying glass, basically a search bar. You can put it in there too. But Google works, it's the same thing. Pablo, I think I answered your question about the boss hunting. I think you meant the Bible there. Adela, it's the good word. Andy, is it okay to highlight in my resume and or interviews one or more strategic proposals of mine that leadership deemed brilliant but did not pursue? If that's an accomplishment, and I might not say it that way, that they deemed it brilliant, but that that this was a proposal that you created aimed at. You could also personally, if you were talking about truly in the highlights section, meaning up top, if you go to the Andy LaCivita School, resume writing, career profile, and then career highlights. Those career highlights, my preference would be those were things that were implemented where people actually realized benefits. The type of highlight you are mentioning, I don't think there's anything wrong with putting that in the professional experience section as an accomplishment, even though they didn't move forward with it. And if somebody asks you and sees that, now remember, if it's on your resume, they might ask you, hey, what happened with that proposal? You're going to need now to explain why they didn't move forward. Because if I saw that, I would say, this is great. Why didn't they move forward? Now you're defending their decision, something that you didn't have control over. And then heaven forbid, somebody starts saying things to you like, well, how come you couldn't convince them to do it? I mean, you put all this effort into it. Couldn't you make a strong enough argument? I'm like, these are things you're opening yourself up to. So weigh the risks. Do you think there's huge value in this relative to other things that you could put on your resume? Remember, let's go back to what I was saying before. It's not a work history document. It's a marketing document. Does working on that strategic proposal market you best? What could it expose you to? Okay, so this is for you to balance. I mean, you're the kind of person like someday I wish I could just sit down with you for 10 minutes or an hour and just get to know you more. And I know we've gotten to know you a little through the leadership program because we can interact a little through there. But it's like I'd love to see all this, and I could tell you instantly whether I would do that or not. And in this format here, I just can share with you how I would think through that and how I would balance whether I would want to use that or not. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Lee, you're welcome. Sabrina, you're welcome. M. Roberson, you're welcome. Oh, this is great stuff. Deb, that's okay. We're going to talk Thursday. I do want to leave. Just buzzing through looking for questions. Sabrina, you're welcome. Uzoma, how you doing? And flying over tuber, what's the good word? Mark Garland, what do we got here, buddy? Upcoming Zoom interview with a committee. How do I best address all the committee's members' concerns? So this is a great one. Mark, I would not go in thinking I got to address all their concerns. You have your questions, they have their questions. And you're going to go in and you're just going to treat this like a panel interview. I've given you plenty of content in the boot camp on how to do this. related to panel interviews, video interviews, and all that good stuff. I would be most engaged. Like the thing that I would focus on, aside from how to interview effectively with your responses, which I'm sure you've got greatly covered, is a big part of winning a Zoom interview is being engaging. Like if I had a Zoom interview and I'm you guys, meaning I'm not me who's on front of this dang camera every day, right? This is like, just so used to it. I would be practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. And every time I had a 10-minute slot somewhere in my day and I wanted to take a break, I would go and reflect and talk to the camera in my Zoom. And I would look at, am I able to hold my concentration? Am I able to practice? And I go talk fragments of your interview answers, the most common ones. Like I would do that. I would actually practice. I really would. And then it becomes second nature. Because what you don't want to be doing is you don't want to be thinking, talking, looking, worried with this and that. Like all that stuff throws you off your game. And you will, if you are comfortable with the camera, you're going to become so much more powerful in the interview simply by being comfortable with the camera and being comfortable in that format. And so that's where I would try to get the leg up. You got this. Let us know how it goes. Arnaldo, thanks again for that. Karen Board, what is the best cover letter template to use of yours when targeting a new industry and function I know I would be great at, and I know the hiring manager as well? Okay, first of all, so Karen, and I believe you are in the boot camp. First thing I'd like you to do is there is a session in the boot camp about networking potency and making sure that you understand the different mental triggers in communicating with someone. Make sure you've seen that. And I mention that because a big part of there's mental triggers, there's a half a dozen or 7 or 8 of them that you need to make sure that you hit. And a big part of the mental trigger and the way you craft the language has to do with the strength of the relationship of the person that you are targeting. This could be a friend, in which case it's really warm. It could be a loose acquaintance, in which case it's maybe lukewarm. It could be somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. It could be somebody you don't know, in which case it's totally cold. But you said you know the hiring manager. Then it becomes, how well do you know the hiring manager? Is it the kind of person you could pick up the phone and call? Because if it is, that's what I would do. If it isn't, but it's somebody who, you had a pretty good relationship with a long while ago, you can send them a quick email and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you. I'm interested in joining your organization. Would you be open to talking? I might not even throw in a whole lot. That's another way to do it. So from a template perspective, you're gonna make changes to the templates based on the strength of the relationship in your position. Now, if you know this person, I've given you a template in the networking templates, not in the boss hunting Bible, in the networking templates for how do I contact somebody I know, or how do I contact a first degree at a company that I want to work at, or whatever. You choose one of those from the networking booklet. That's a different booklet than the boss hunting booklet, but you find it in the job searching section of the job search coaching program. So the module 3 is all about the hunt. And so that's what I would do. And then it's a matter of how much detail do you need to put in there based on the strength of the relationship. So if somebody that I worked with, 10 years ago, who hasn't seen me in 10 years, I'd pretend like we were buddies. Hey, it's been a long time. I'm reaching out because I was doing I'm doing a job search, and I noticed you're working at, and I really love the organization. Since we've worked together, I've doom this, right? Would you be open to talking? Would you be open to, just make it casual depending on the strength of the relationship. That's how I would do that. And then you're gonna have to tinker with the templates. But that's where I would start. That's a great question. Alexei, I was laid off last year with severance package. What is your advice on how to get back to the same company? So in this case, I would go back to my old boss, probably. Hopefully I had a good relationship with my old boss. If I didn't have a great relationship with my old boss, or my old boss left, or my old boss moved, or whatever, I'd probably call the human resources department. Like, if I worked there, I wouldn't email anybody anything. I would pick up the phone and I would call them. That's my advice, seriously. Put the feelers out. Authentic Sam TV, when is the most appropriate time to ask about the wage so you don't go into a job with false pretense about the real wage? If I understand you correctly, there's no way I would take any job without securing what the wage is, whether that's an hourly wage, a salary and bonuses, or however complicated it might be. So I'm assuming this answer is pretty simple. I would just say, before you start, before you sign anything or any kind of employment agreement, and if it's a situation where you're in an industry where it's like a handshake, I would make sure I agree to what the wage is. And Lori Everett is echoing my sentiment. In HR, it doesn't matter whether it's services or product, and I would tend to agree with that. There are one other thing. Corinne, I want to say something else if you're still here. There are unique situations that you can leverage for you HR people when you can use these to your advantage. So we used to do a lot of work way back in the day. We used to do a lot of recruitment for trading firms, capital markets, financial trade markets, trading firms. And the human resources people in these organizations used to deal with all kinds of complexities. Let's call them unique personalities. Let's call them, terms and conditions of the employment agreements were very extreme and so on. If I'm an HR person and I like that space and I have experience in that space, I would play that up, right? Got experience handling all these knuckleheads, right? Know how that goes. Know how to deal with them, right? That's an advantage. Versus you're working at a tech company and now you're trying to get over to capital markets and you're dealing with the mentality of the traders and some other people. Well, yeah, you got technologists, but you got microcosms and microcultures within these units, and depending on what part of HR you're doing, there's going to be experience that would be helpful that you have. So that's something to note. So if you understand what it's like to work in the healthcare space, payer, provider, whatever, and you want to move over to just a different company in the space, whether payer, provider, or whatever it is, we'll draw whatever parallel you want. Then you play it up. Otherwise, you don't play it up. You play up your functional knowledge. Allie Marie Ish, question-ish. I'm wondering if that's question-ish. Is this like a sort of a question? I haven't even read what you said here. Please expect my link or whatever it is in LinkedIn. I sent it, weeks ago, and you still, Allie Marie, that's just a sin. This is driving me nuts, haha. Stacy, I can tell you who Allie Marie is officially if you need to, and then we'll get her a link connect, and so we don't have her sweating that, because I just can't have that. Faisal, Andy was among top 3 candidates. They informed me they picked another candidate. I sent a response. You advised. They said the candidate had more experience that matched their needs. Should I follow up? Follow up with the rejection email. If that's what you meant, that's what you sent. I would still follow up 30 days. So Faisal, people, if you do what I do, or you're in HR or recruitment, you see this enough, right? Hey, we love this person. We chose this person. Faisal, thank you very much. We chose this person. And then this person either A, they can't come to terms with, B, come to terms with, doesn't show up, or C, shows up, works there a week, craps out, and quits. This stuff happens, okay? So what you do is you kind of, wait, remove? Is it still there? Hang on. Oop. Hang on. Something. I can't see it. Hang on. Uh-oh. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can get back to live mode. Sorry, folks. Hang on one second. Hang on. All better. Okay. Sorry, I must have hit something, but all good. Sorry, Karen, if I left you hanging up there with me. All right. But what I was saying is the going back to Faisal's point about should I follow up? When you don't get the job, okay, and you've made good relationships and you didn't do anything offensive and you like the organization and you think they like you. You don't even have to know if they like you or not. Just think they like you. Send the rejection response, okay? And if you don't know what that is, it's on my channel, How to Get the Job After Being Rejected. That tees you up for them to follow up a month later. Now, a month, I want to be specific about what I mean. You're teeing up the fact that you respect their decision. You love them. You wish it would have worked out. You really felt you were a strong candidate. You respect their decision. They know best, blah, blah, blah. I spell it all out for you. And then what you do is you check in a month later. Say, hey, just want to check in. Hope everything worked out with the search or that you found the right person or whatever. Now, if you got to give them some grace, let's say, hey, if you know you're down to the end, meaning like, okay, these are the final rounds, we're going to pick somebody. All right, well then assume somebody's going to start about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, or whatever it is, because they got to give notice and all that good stuff. Then start the clock 30 days from then, 6 weeks, let's say. Then you reach in. You never know. Hey, anything else open up? Right? You keep the dialogue going. Hey, Faisal, no, everything's still status quo. We'll keep you in mind. No problem, thank you. Hey, by the way, do you know anybody at company X, Y, and Z? Why can't you network with that recruiter or whoever? Right? I'm always asking. Always asking. You're in search mode, you should be asking. Every damn email you send out should have some question in it. Right? So there should be some call to action in every communication until they say, no, I had enough of you. So that's what you do. Keep it up. So Allie Marie, I'm like really good about accepting invitations, so I'm wondering. Shannon, just a note to say that I love seeing the dogs when they pass by. Shannon, I want to tell you, the other day, Saturday, my little doggy Harley, I don't know if can you see him? This little guy right there? He was racing down these 15 stairs that go from the top floor to the main floor with his little lammy in his mouth, and he missed the last 2 steps and took a header right into the floor. And he's had some back issues, so he was walking around like a hunchback. You know, we're beside ourselves. We're trying to get into the animal emergency, but it was a 6-hour wait, so we gave him some pain meds and whatever, and took him to the vet today. And he's on rest, so he can't play fetch with daddy. He's 14 years old, man. 5 o'clock every day, he comes, sits right here, and he wants to play fetch. I can't get over it. But for 2 weeks, he's on bed duty. Allie Marie, I'm glad we got this figured out. All right, you guys, come on, man. All right. Everybody, you guys are great. I got to run, okay? I got to go swim like 3,000 meters or something right now and then get back and do some other stuff. We're on tomorrow. So grab the Career Achievements Journal. Grab the courses. They're great prices this week. You got any questions? Just ask. All the job searching stuff, all the little point programs, the ones that are for like $99, $100. Get in there if you like them. You can always trade up. You can always then pay the difference if you want to upgrade at a later date for those. The leadership program is really a great way to go. Try it out for a month. You get access to a lot of those courses and all the archives. I've been doing this 2.5 years. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's really good. And if you got any questions, check back in with us through the support queue, support@milewalk.com, or you can ask me questions tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going through the financial stuff. I got this little booklet here for you. I got a whole little whatchamacallit, a whole little spreadsheet in here, like a little table, and all this stuff with everything you need to know. It's going to be great. 11 o'clock tomorrow.
And then if you're interested in the job search coaching program, we're meeting on Thursday. And if you're in the job search coaching program, you actually stop by on Friday at the leadership coaching as well on building the corporate culture you want. In the meantime, I'll see you in your inbox tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Daylight Time with a reminder. Okay, you guys be good.